Welcome to Suthichai Live English. AI has been a very hot topic around the world and including Thailand. Welcome to Suthichai Live English. AI has been a very hot topic around the world and including Thailand. A Thai citizen, I would say, working in London at the moment, has been involved in starting a startup on AI, and to the surprise of many people, and I think including he himself, the company was acquired by another company after only 9 months. And today I'm delighted to chat with Kun Athijit Anuchitanukul Atom, who is now in Bangkok, and I think we will learn a lot from this young man who is heavily involved in developing AI into something that will be beneficial not only to his business but also for Thai people as a whole. Hi, Athijit. Hi, Adam. สวัสดีครับ สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับ
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Tell us about yourself a little bit so we can start the chat about AI in a meaningful way. Who are you and what are you doing in London?
Yeah, so I started my life being in a local Thai school for since primary school, and at the same time I decided to change my education track. So after school I've always been studying, trying to relearn everything in English, and then I switched into an international education track, and then landed into the engineering school at University College London. I also went on further to do my master's at Imperial College London as well, and that's when I met my professor as well. And then after doing research with her, we started the startup, which was, as you mentioned, was successfully acquired only after 9 months of starting the company.
Wow, it's a very exciting story. Now tell me, you were only 14 when you were taken by the engineering faculty of Chulalongkorn University, right? At age 14,
Yes.
Nobody would expect anyone to enter university. How did you do it?
So this is because of my time spent after school. So I started at 11,
Yes.
where I was basically after school trying to relearn everything in English, and at the same time I discovered that I could actually pick up knowledge beyond my year as well. So after school I would be studying, relearning everything in English until 10 or 11 p.m. into the night.
Wow.
And that has allowed me to perhaps skip a few years of school. And then after getting all the qualifications I needed, I applied to Chulalongkorn University, and I was fortunate enough to be accepted at the age of 14.
Wow, you must be the youngest university student ever in Thailand. But you were quite passionate about AI even when you were a young kid. How come?
Yeah, so I have to attribute this to my father as well. My father, he has a background in computer science as well. And at a very young age, he has always inspired me of ongoing researches and potentials for the future. So I've always been fascinated in technology and more specifically in artificial intelligence.
Tell us about your father. What's he doing now? He's a very famous scientist, a computer expert. And been doing during the COVID pandemic time, he was involved in some very exciting and very useful research to help the Thai people then. Tell us about your father.
So my father, he did his PhD and master's in Stanford University. He was doing computer science, so very similar background to me.
Yeah.
But then after graduation, he went back and was involved in the banking industry. And then at the same time, he is a man of many interests.
Yeah.
So he's always like to help out on various projects, COVID being one of them as well.
Yeah. And he collects shells, right?
Yes, he is a very he's a connoisseur of collecting seashells.
Seashells, yeah. So when you were a kid, there must be a lot of seashells at home. Huh?
Definitely. I wish I could have picked up on his knowledge on seashells, but I only know a few.
Yeah. In one of your articles about yourself, you said, my lifelong goal is to innovate a life-changing technology that helps shape the future of our country. Any successful technology inventor must have the grit to relentlessly pursue a long-term endeavor. I have persevered over many years to follow my passion for studying artificial intelligence at the best engineering school, from July, and then you move on to UCL, and even now you are still there working. How can AI be developed in such a way that it will be useful, it would be a boon, not a threat? Are you afraid of AI being a threat, or are you quite convinced that AI will only do good things for the humankind?
I am strongly confident that artificial intelligence and machine learning are very beneficial to our society. Basically, AI basically is trained to mimic human behaviors and to understand how we perform some of the tasks in our daily lives. The benefit of that is that we could use AI as assistance or as a complement to the way we currently do things as well. And in addition to that, as you may know, in many countries, we are running into the problem of an aging society.
Yeah.
And the downside of that is that we won't have many people in the workforce population in a couple of years' time, which means this is where AI could come in. It could be the missing piece of the puzzle.
Well, tell us about your context.ai that started as a startup, and even now maybe it's still a startup, and was acquired in 9 months. What did you do with that project?
So basically, my professor and I, and also the team, we were very passionate in developing technologies to help make social media platforms a safer place.
Safe, yeah. Yes.
So what we do is that we focus on developing AIs to understand human interaction and help humans moderate as well. Because if you imagine in social media platforms such as Facebook or Twitter, the problem would be that there's so many content flowing in every day, considering that the number of users are almost the entire world.
Yeah.
So the challenge is that how can you moderate all of that content by using humans to moderate? You can never match the number of users with the number of moderations.
Not possible. So you and your friends and the professor try to develop an AI that could moderate and that could separate good from bad stuff, right?
Definitely. So we understand content from text or audio or images, and we understand what contents are safe or what contents are toxic or inappropriate as well.
It must have been quite a challenge even when you started to think about it, that how could you develop an AI that is so powerful, that is so effective that it can catch anything, as you said, toxic, right? Because toxic content, you must have a lot and lots of patterns to be able to prompt AI to do it. How did you start, and what were the challenges, and how long did it take you from concept to launching?
I must say this is a continuous flow of improvement as well. So even before the company, we have been doing research in this field as well. And as you mentioned, there are many types of toxicities, and each of them have their own level of difficulty or their own level of complexity. So basically, how we started to tackle this problem is very simple. So we always started small, and we take baby steps to continually improve. So we can start. I mean, we started with simpler cases of toxicity, in which it's very easy to detect. Something like slurs or some inappropriate images are very easy to detect, and then we started developing gradually to more complex cases, where eventually we reached a point where we could become contextual, meaning that we could understand human interaction in a contextual way, so that it's not just moderating one user, but we understand the interaction between multiple users at the same time.
Give us some examples of contextual content that your AI could detect.
Yeah, so there's a very easy example. So imagine two users. Let's call them A and B. So let's say user A says, "I want to hurt myself." Any thoughts? User B would then say, "Yes, you should do it. Go ahead. I support you."
Wow.
So imagine if we are not being contextual here, then user B would not be toxic, right? Because user B's message is very neutral.
Very neutral, very innocent. Yes, I support you. Go ahead and do it. On its own, it's not toxic. But in another context, it is dangerous. You are advocating or supporting or even encouraging someone else to do things that he shouldn't do or she shouldn't do, right?
Absolutely. So the fact that we can be contextual has allowed us to moderate much more complex cases of toxicity.
Give me an example of a very complex situation, not that simple conversation.
Yeah. So let's say you could look at memes, for example. So memes are obviously they have flooded the internet for a decade now, perhaps. But you can imagine complex memes as well, memes that are, let's say, suggestive of something toxic, but it's actually very subtle. You could perhaps look at something in a more sarcastic way. You could do a meme where it is an image of something very innocent, but then the captions or the text surrounding it could be indicative that, hey, you're actually trying to target a certain minority group or a certain race or a certain group of people.
But it's not easy because the message could be very subtle.
Absolutely.
And sarcasm is not easy to catch either. So
no.
How do you do it? How does your AI work better than the rest in that sense?
So with our architecture as well, as I said, it has allowed us to be more contextual. So we can relate in the conversation between multiple people, how people interact, what are their intentions. And at the same time, we also present our models with a wide range of data as well, from ranging from simpler cases to very, very complex ones. And as I said, so we have we address multiple fronts as well. Let's say for audio or for speech, as you can imagine, you can say one sentence, but you can have so many different ways of delivering it. You can have different tones, different pace as well. And let's say the same sentence could be delivered multiple ways, and each of them could convey a slightly different meaning. Some might be sarcastic, or some might be just a direct message, for example.
Right. And for now, context AI can detect all this. Are you still working on it? Is still a work in progress?
Yes. So we are now part of the company that has acquired us, and what we focus is actually on basically utilizing these technologies to understand user interaction in games as well. So this is what we focus on. So we understand the way people interact with each other on those different games, and we try to make sure that we fetch out the toxic ones, and we try to make the platforms safer, as I mentioned.
Well, there's must remain some challenges that you're still working on. What are some of those challenges?
Yeah, so basically, as you can imagine, the more we detect or the more advanced we get in detecting some toxicity, the more users find ways around as well.
Yeah, I know,
Um,
because those who are working against you are also developing their own AIs. So it's a battle between the good and the bad AIs, the good guys and the bad guys, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it basically it really helps in terms of the research community as well because the more complex problems we have to deal with, the better the AI will become, and this is also beneficial in other use cases as well, not just in toxicity or content moderation tasks. Because basically the better we understand how people interact or how complicated humans can be, the better we could utilize AI technologies on other fronts, and we can benefit the society as a whole.
At the global level at the moment, how do you see the next step for AI? Now we have, ChatGPT in various versions, and the latest coming up almost every 2 or 3 months. You have what they call more intelligent AIs. How do you see the developments from now? The next step. What is the next step?
So I think the next step is that, I mean, I think some of us might already be seeing it now, but um, for the world to actually progress forward as well, we need to embrace the AI technologies to become a complement to our daily lives as well, and also to companies or other bodies such as education as well. We need to embrace it because AI is a new piece of technology, very similar to our olden days where we would get, before when we didn't have laptops to boost our productivity.
Yes.
It's the same thing, but in 2024, where we have AI as a new technology that could help speed things up as well. And as I mentioned earlier, basically we will need AI to become assistants for us, simply because in a few decades we might not have enough people to do all of the things we need to do.
When you were a kid, what kind of technology were you playing with? Because my generation, your father's generation, and your generation must be 3 generations apart. What were you working? What were you working at or working on when you were about 3 or 4 years old?
Oh, it was quite a long time ago, but from what I remember,
Not that long.
I
Not that
was
long. You are what? You are 29 this year, right?
24 this year.
Oh, 24 only. Okay. When you were 20 years ago. Okay. What were you playing with?
So I was fortunate to live in a time where we still didn't have smartphones. So when I was 4, that was still pre-smartphone era as well. I have been in a position where I see advancements of technology as well, and seeing how, let's say, the introduction of smartphones or tablets or more advanced computing power could actually speed up our society. So that has sort of inspired me to say, hey, for AI, it's another big wave of good technology, and we could utilize this for the better.
Yeah. So you grew up with a very sort of prompt, frequent, and the speed with which technology was advancing was much quicker than 10 years before you. And now it's even quicker, right? So
Yes, absolutely.
how do we handle the speed? I mean, human beings need time to rest, need time to reflect. Now we have no time to reflect. We have to catch up with all these changes. What's your advice? You are in the middle of developing AI, which takes seconds to accomplish tasks that used to take hours for us human beings.
Yes, I mean, I think it has inspired me to think that anything is possible, because I was born in an era where suddenly like in just maybe when I was young, a few years something new came out.
Yeah.
But then now a
Oh.
few months we're talking.
All right. All right.
So it has sort of inspired me to say,
Mm-hmm.
whatever passion you have, whatever dream you have, you
Mm-hmm.
should follow it because you can make it possible.
Uh-huh.
So that has always been something that I live by. So if you have your passion, if you have your dream,
Mm-hmm.
follow it.
Yeah.
And then, if you put time and effort into it, you can make it happen because you can see, other people when they follow their dreams or when they
Yeah.
want to develop a piece of technology, they can make it happen. And now it's much faster than ever as well.
I know. How's your lifestyle going? With you working on AI, things going so fast all the time. How do you, as a 24-year-old boy in the middle of an AI revolution, how do you spend your time? How do you relax? What books do you read? Tell me.
Um, let's say my passion for AI
Mm-hmm.
has been integrated
Mm-hmm.
as part of my life as well. So,
Yeah.
in my spare times, it brings me joy to actually catch up on the recent technologies as well. I do feel like, let's say if I spend a month without reading or
Uh-huh.
without catching up on the technologies, things will be a bit outdated for me. So I need to catch up. But obviously,
Uh-huh.
because my passion for AI is now part of my life,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't prevent me from having my personal life and relax as well. It's
Yeah.
sort of let's say when your passion becomes your job, they say,
Yes.
then you don't feel tired doing that job.
Yeah, I know. When you enjoy it, when you're passionate about it, right? Hobbies become your main profession, so it's no trouble. The main question now being debated is whether AI is a threat or a boon. You are right in the middle of that. What do you think?
It is definitely not a threat.
No.
And basically, I think it is far from being a threat. It's a boon for sure, and it's a good thing. It's a good piece of technology that needs to be embraced and it needs to be integrated in our society because we definitely need it. So this is what I think, and it's something that I think more people need to sort of embrace and utilize it in their daily lives because once they realize that it's not a threat, they will start to make full use of it and in terms of productivity and in terms of our lifestyles, it will be uplifted for sure.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. But a lot of people are afraid of AI. They say that if we develop it, if we continue to develop it, it would become very intelligent, more intelligent than human being. They would become a threat, and they would turn around and start ordering human beings what to do. It might come to a point where they can develop weapons that can kill people. Is that too much? Is that too pessimistic of a scenario?
That is, I would say, impossible because basically, being in the research field, I can confirm with you that that is so far from reality. You have to imagine that artificial intelligence these days, and comparing to our human intelligence, there is a very huge gap to match there for let's say for an AI to be humanoid or for an AI to have all of the understanding that we do ourselves, right? Because if you imagine you wake up every day from like simple routines or like being able to breathe, being able to multitask without even you controlling it,
Yep.
these are a higher level of intelligence in which AI can never match. So it is impossible for one to think that AI could rule over us or could hurt us, could kill us. This is so far from reality.
I remember many, many years back when scientists developed the cloning technology. Remember, you were not born yet, but there was this cloning technology, and a sheep or a goat was cloned, and they called it Dolly. And at that time, there was all this panic, similar to what we're talking about, that if people can be cloned, what could God do? God would get very angry because you're interfering with God's creation. Is it more or less the same kind of mentality now with AI?
Definitely. I think it is very common when a new piece of technology comes out for people to panic. I think it is very normal because obviously it is something that nobody has seen or nobody has experienced it before. I am pretty sure when computers get popularized, there would be fear as well of computers replacing people. But as you can see, now we can't live without computers, and computer is part of our life and part of the reason why as a society we are productive that way. So it is very common for people to fear technologies like AI, but I would encourage people to embrace it rather than to fear it.
But more realistically, the real impact would be on how we adapt ourselves to the changing scenario when AI can do a lot of repetitive tasks that we are doing now. What is your advice for Thailand? How should we approach the AI revolution? What kind of education changes we have to consider and implement? What should we teach our children from now on?
Yes, I think basically we need to educate the entire community or have people become more familiar with AI and seeing its potential as well. And this is not only in companies or in government bodies, but it's also important to teach the next generation as well that, hey, you can use AI as your assistant, as a complement to your life or whatever you're doing. And that way, people can start to see its potential and learn how to utilize it as well. Because some people could see their potential, but they might not understand how to fully utilize the technology as well. So I would encourage that this would be the case, so that gradually people will be very akin to let's say, very used to having AI in their daily lives, and then basically they could utilize, and then sooner or later the society will benefit from it, or the country we will see a change, definitely.
Should the school curriculum be amended or should be rewritten? How should the educational system adapt to this very major change?
I would encourage the educational system to be dynamic and open-minded as well, because obviously as new pieces of technology come in, as teachers, it would be very important for you to understand and introduce it to the children, to the students. This is very similar. I think I can reflect this based on my experience in school as well, because when I was young, let's say computers were not as advanced as they are today. But then as years go by, as computers get more advanced, or as there are more tools which could help education, then my school started introducing it. And then I started becoming more familiar with how to use computers, how to fully benefit from them. And I think this is a similar trend. So we should basically, schools, teachers, they should introduce AI to kids so that they know what that is about.
Yeah. I understand that you intend to come back to Thailand and to use your experience with AI to help Thailand. How are you going to go about it?
Oh, definitely. So I think from the research and my exposure in artificial intelligence in the UK, I would like to basically bring the technology, bring my knowledge back here. And what I want to do, and this is my life goal as well, is to advance AI technologies while making it affordable and accessible to the masses, because that's the only way where we can benefit the society, and that's the only way where AI really comes in as a piece of technology that can revolutionize the country and boost our overall economy.
How do you plan to do it? Do you have to set up a company? Do you plan to do a startup here? Do you plan to become a teacher? How are you going to accomplish that goal?
So this is a conversation I've been having with my friends, both in the UK as well as the folks in Thailand as well. And we are all passionate in starting something together, starting a company together, perhaps to offer AI to the masses. It's not going to be, let's say, a profit-seeking organization. We would rather offer AI technologies to Thailand to benefit the society without trying to make money. Because basically, as I mentioned, for AI to be accessible, it needs to be affordable as well.
Yeah, but of course, you also have to make sure that the school curriculum for the students are in compliance with what you want to do. Because if the students are taught one thing and you're trying to introduce something very new, something totally out of the system, you're not going to accomplish your goal.
Definitely. I think this is a process that takes time, and it's not something that can be changed in an instant. It takes time to slowly be adapted over time. But then, now is a good, I mean, basically there is no best time to start except now, because the sooner things get integrated or introduced, the better things will be, or the faster we can become more familiar with AI.
If you were to meet the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister asks you, hey, Adam, what is your advice for me, for the government, to work on if we are going to use AI and be up to date and use it in our own context, the Thailand's context? What would be your advice? What should the government do to start with?
I think education is definitely one of the main aspects that they could tackle, because as you are aware as well, in countries like us or in any other country, there is a shortage of teachers compared to how many students we have. And basically, to education is one of the very important aspects to drive the country forward, because it is responsible for training future generations of students to become the next generation of leaders or workers, right? So to address the problem where we might not have enough teachers to cater for all of the students, then I would encourage let's say if I do get the opportunity to meet the Prime Minister, to urge that we should try to find ways to integrate all of these amazing AI technologies to help with education, to help ensure that no matter where you are, you will receive quality education. And this is where AI could come in and help.
And it's not as if that we have to have big budget, right? With AI, what is the financial aspect of it? Do we really have to invest a lot of money? Can we start small and go stage by stage?
Absolutely. With the recent advancement in artificial intelligence, it has allowed the access to all of these technologies at a very low cost. And it makes it very scalable to the entire country or to the world for that matter as well. So this is where it is very interesting. You don't need big budgets to use AI or to introduce it to the masses. You don't need that anymore. So this is why I think it's a very good turning point for people to start embracing the technology.
Yeah, so it's not the money, it's the mindset, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, so that I think is the bigger challenge than money, mindset. the two M's.
Absolutely.
The two M's.
Yes.
One M is money, the other M is mindset. And mindset is much more challenging than money. Money you can raise, but mindset, I don't know. How do you raise mindset?
I think it takes time to foster. Obviously, if you introduce and trying to change people's mindset right away, this applies to more than just AI. It will take time for sure. So all you can do is slowly ease it in, slowly introduce, and then over time people will start to adapt.
I know. So of course, thanks to your generation too, you have enough time, enough passion and determination to try to introduce AI into the country, starting from the kids, the young kids, but at the same time, you may have to work from the top as well, the government, so that you will meet somewhere in the middle to be able to succeed. So thank you very much, Adam คุณอธิจิตรอนุชิตธนาอนุชิตตานุกูลนะครับ for this very very fruitful, interesting, and for me exciting and educational conversation. Thank you again, Adam. Talk to you soon about everything about the future of the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
สวัสดีครับ
Thank you so
สวัสดี
much.
ครับ